name's Spanner. Dick Spanner. Private investigator. I just closed my last case, which ended in one hell of a fight. Now I was about to take off on another assignment. I was back in the Big Pear and decided to head for my office. The city was sleeping. Things were quiet. Too quiet.
Bert, don't light that. That's no gas.
Ah, shut your face!
The jerk was smoking. That could ruin his health. I took the elevator to a couple of floors above my office, then walked down. Right, another story. But you already heard it. I knew something was wrong when I noticed the door was ajar. The jam jar was jammed in the damn door jamb. It wouldn't shift. Wait a second here. The office was a mess. What sort of fruitcake would pull a caper like this? And why? Strawberry. I was in a real jam. Then I saw the writing on the wall. It was a writ. You are hereby sued by my client, Too Tall Johnson, for loss of height. Then there was a whole spiel of legal double talk. I needed a drink. Too Tall Johnson. I didn't even know the dude. But all that was about to change.
Hey, man, check
The guy was really upset. He said he used to be 8'3". Now he was 3'8". He brought along his kid brother, tall Tim too. He was 8'3". The long and short of it was, we decided to hit the nearest bar. Too Tall ordered a highball. What could I say? Tall Tim too wanted a short. I settled for a rusty nail. They told me they worked in the movies, as stuntmen. That is until Too Tall got stunted by a very pressing elevator. It seemed they owned a pet parrot, but the bird had flown. They said they dropped a writ if I helped find their feathered freak. I told them I'd sleep on it. All this strawberry jam was giving me the pip, but I still had the damn writ hanging over my head. So I figured I'd take the case. It meant going up to Ivywood. The Are You OK Tower? The Japanese Groman Theater? The Brown Trilby? The Ivywood Basin? The corner of Sunrise and Grape. Movie City. Timbuktu. Remember that one? When the chick says to the piano player, "Encore, Samuel." What a tearjerker. But I was hearing a case. I arranged to meet Too Tall under the Big W. I'd waited an hour, but the bum hadn't shown. I was about to leave when it hit me. Jumpin' Jehoshaphat. I was being delivered by letter. But where? All I could say was, oh, 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 oh. I could be in trouble here. The letter I was in didn't have no address. Roadhog. What a way to take a seat. Then I noticed these legs. They were a matched pair. When I finally got to the face, I saw it was none other than Gloria Vamp, sex symbol and legend in her own byline. Now she was a recluse. Also, she didn't see no one. She'd been a big star in silent movies, but the talkies had killed her career. When she opened her mouth, I knew why.
Yes, my lady.
She was calling her man Friday, except it was Tuesday. He was wearing a monkey suit, but I could see he was a gorilla.
Get off.
He was serving high tea, including a pot of jam. She said she wanted to be alone. Also, the gorilla looked like he was ready to go ape. So I made some lame excuse and headed out of there. But I figured I'd sneak back and case the joint later. I'd noticed the jam was strawberry.
See you later,
There it was, the inn place. So I went in. The hat check girl had checked my hat. I gave her a tip. Lucky dip on the first race at well meant. The group was playing a catchy tune in the dark. Over in the corner, Douglas Sandbanks Jr. and Hair Oil Flynn were cutting a rug. Damn! In a Swiss joint like this, they kept the lighting low and the prices high. Too Tall was sitting alone. I joined them.
Hey, man, come in, take a seat.
I asked him to tell me more about the missing parrot. He said the bird came from some Mediterranean island named Malta. Too Tall wasn't making much sense. He'd already drunk himself under the table. It was around that time someone put the finger on me. It belonged to George Lifeboat. He said we were leaving. I didn't argue, especially when I saw who was backing him up, Edward G. Hobson. They'd taken me to the top of the RUOK Tower. It was then I decided to call their bluff. I told them I figured the finger wasn't loaded. How long can a private eye be? Edward G. Hobson told me to hand over the parrot or take a walk. I told him I didn't have the feathered freak. George Lifeboat said, "You dirty rat," which was way out of character, and I was getting pretty edgy. Edward G. told me I had a choice. Right, it was Hobson's choice. So I made another dumb move. I jumped. I was walking all right, on air. Then I remembered these anti-gravity pills I'd won in a crap game. Jumpin' Jehoshaphat, my old stuffed moose head. I hadn't seen that for years. What a way to drop in on Movie City. One thing for sure, I was about to make a big impact. The ground was coming up fast, looked like a pool. I was about to make a big splash. The pool was empty. I felt pretty drained myself, but I'd had a lucky break. I'd landed on my head. Now I couldn't get the damn thing off. It was Gloria Vamp's place of residence. And there she was, with Eric von Strongbow and a pot of strawberry jam. Gloria must have heard my surprise. When she spotted the moose head, she started yelling green murder. She was colorblind. I figured it was about time to make tracks. Gloria was still screaming her head off. When Von Strongbow turned around, there was something familiar about him. I decided to head back to the big pair. I needed time to think. The city was sleeping. Things were quiet. Too quiet. Damn. I forgot to remember it was the hunting season. Jumpin' Jehoshaphat. These nuts wanted my head on their wall. Then I was caught smacking the beams. Made my eyes water. Panned out it was a patrol car from the 16th precinct. So, I was back in the old Fuzz Palace. But at least I'd managed to lose my head. O'Grady was grilling the moose. I settled for a snack. I didn't much care for grilled moose. I asked the lieutenant what the charge was. He said 2 bits for the pie, the coffee was on the station house. O'Grady was losing his cool. Then he went hopping mad. When he picked up the pie, I figured I knew exactly what he had in mind. I was right. It was custody. 2 years in the slammer. This was the big one. Sing Song Penitentiary. Cell Block 8.
It's 2 in the morning. It's dark and we're wearing sunglasses.
Up here, the singing was off key. I was on tone deaf row. The guy in the cage with me was a 300-pound lush. He was trying to dry out. It was driving him up the wall.
It's driving me up the wall.
He told me he planned to break out of the joint. That's when I made another dumb move. I decided to go along with the jerk. The fat slob must have had help on the outside. It looked like a good scam.
It's a good scam.
The lush got lowered to the ground. Nice touchdown. So far, the plan had worked out like a dream. But all that was about to change. What was going down here? Not yours personally. Let it go, you Dumbo Jumbo. Jumpin' Jehoshaphat. What the hell was this? Too much weight in a damn crate. Uh-oh. Look out. Hell's bells. I was taking another nosedive. So what else is new? There was only one thing left to do. I need help! There was one chance. The build-your-own hand glider kit that I'd traded for a working model of Niagara Falls. Jumpin' Jehoshaphat. A set of 2 dumbbells. Made sense. The crate and yours personally now balanced out. It was still one hell of a drop, which left me hanging on in there, I guess. One of the bulls had spotted me. He yelled to me to get him up high or he'd start pumping lead. Some choice. The guard broke my fall. I broke his leg and a couple of arms. The lush was back on his feet, but not for long. I wanted to help, but I saw he was boxed in. I hated to leave a mess, but it was time I got out of there fast. I knew O'Grady would have put out an ABPCD on me. That's like an APB, only longer. But I needed a couple of files from my office. I figured the fuzz would be watching the elevator, so I took the stairs. On the other hand, they might figure out the way I was figuring and cover the stairs. Maybe I should have used the elevator. Then again, the fuzz might figure a double bluff, that I'd figure out the way they figured I was figuring. That meant they'd be watching the stairs. Or was it the elevator? Maybe I was going stair crazy. It'd been a hard climb. I was sweating like a pig. Then I froze. A figure was standing in the doorway. And what a figure. It was Mae East. Mae said she wanted to come back up with me to Ivywood to try and break into the movies. She planned to change her name, call herself Mae South, give her career a new direction. I said okay, but she'd have to take the rough with the smooth. So, we went back up to Ivywood. Shame. One of the all-time greats. Remember the closing scene when the cowboy rides off into the sunset and the kid calls after him, "Come back, you creep." Not a dry eye in the house. But I was here on business. Tall Tim, too, wanted to see me. I'd arranged to meet him at the, whatchamacallit? Yeah, the Ivywood Basin. The music buff's mecca. Even the graffiti had class. Then I heard something. I figured it had to be Tall Tim, too. Yeah, wrong again. It was George Lifeboat and Edward G. Hobson. Edward G. said he was on to me, see? And I was a dirty, no-good fink, see? And he was going to take care of me, see? I thought about making a run for it, but George Lifeboat pulled his finger out. I'd seen that deadly digit in action before. I was about to be railroaded. What a way to go. Hell's bells, it was pearl black. We were both in trouble here. Unless I could get that damn thingamajig out of my damn pocket. Jumpin' Jehoshaphat. A sack of whatchamacallits. I couldn't believe it. It was night. At this time of day. I figured I must be losing my marbles. Pearl Black was doing all the hollering, but I was going to get it first. Ha! 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 There wasn't a damn thing I could do. I just hoped Mae wouldn't take it too hard. At least it would be quick. It sounded like an express. What the hell was going on here? Someone had turned on the light, the daylight. Jumpin' Jehoshaphat. It was Eric Von Strongbow, producer, director, and agent to the stars. He looked kind of familiar. It was late in the day, but it was beginning to dawn on me. They were shooting a motion picture. The smartass I couldn't place was lighting. Wildman Carew was handling sound. I'd been set up, but why? Eric Von Strongbow had invited me back to his place of business. He said he liked the way I acted scared. He asked me to take a seat. I said I'd prefer to stand. I could see the man handle some of the top names in Ivywood. Claude Squalls, Little Shirley Pimple, they were all up there. Von Strongbow told me he'd like to represent me, but I'd have to lose some height. He recommended I go on a special diet. I could drop 4 or 5 inches inside a month. A jar a day keeps the tolls away, that's how he put it. Hell's bells! It was strawberry jam. I said I'd consider his offer. Another dumb move. I finally caught up with Too Tall Tim at the Brown Trilby. It was a hot night. The girl had checked my coat. Yeah, the joint was really swinging. Louis Headstrong and his Hot Five were playing behind the brown door.
Hey, man, where's my...
Too Tall was trying to pay his tab, but he was a little short. Hey, it was Gary Barrelmaker. Played the Marshall in high midnight. Yep. Then a couple of gorillas tried him for size. I guess he didn't measure up. Hell's bells. He'd been thrown out of the place. I asked the animal why. Smalls only. No talls allowed. A couple of bottles later, I was back out on the street. I had 100 answers, but no questions. All that Too Tall would say was to follow my nose. I didn't like the smell of that. But what else could I do? Then I got this feeling. I decided to check around to make sure I was alone. Hey, this is weird. What? I'm sure I... Nah. For a moment, I thought I was being tailed by a mysterious cloaked figure. It must have been the booze. Great movie. It reminded me of a hunch I'd been working on. I decided to follow it up. Which led me to this roof. It was pretty dark, but there was something down there. That's when I heard it. Jumpin' Jehoshaphat! It was a mysterious cloaked figure unzipping his cover. The smart-ass looked like something out of a 4-penny opera. Schmuck the knife looked ready to start cutting. Yeah, you guessed it. Another case of the falls. But maybe, just one time, my luck would be in. Jumpin' Jehoshaphat. Nailed by my own hammer. By the looks of what was coming up, I could be in for a cracking time. Yep, I was on a real downer and about to hit the roof. Again. The joint I dropped into panned out to be a laundry, but they weren't starching those shirts. They were laundering money. A couple of goons were doing the washing. One was in a real lather. He was foaming at the mouth. I thought about trying to soft soap him, but I knew it wouldn't wash. I could see these animals might give me trouble. To this day, I still can't figure out how the hell I did that. Then I made my next move. I got out of there. Fast. May South, as she now called herself, had found us a new place to stay. It was nothing like my office, and it had one drawback. Noisy neighbors in the pad above. the hell did they do up there? May reckoned I was in bad shape, so she'd broken out my old fighting red leotard. I told her if my day worked out, I'd work out later. She was a sweet kid, but it was time to leave. Get back out on the mean streets. It was a note wrapped in a rock. It said, "A group of talls would like to meet with you. Signed, Johnny Wisefella. P.S. Follow the call of the jungle." The call of the jungle. That could be it. I was still following the and there it was again. It was coming from the house. It was Gloria Vamp's place of residence. Spooky. People were moving out there in the dark. I was starting to get the scares. Then I saw them, some of the giants of Ivywood. Jack Pants, the baddie from Shame. Gary Barrelmaker. Randolph Spot. Yeah, remember him? Lart Cable. Johnny Wisefella. Douglas Sandbanks Jr. Tony Suffs. They were all here. The guy in the end told me, "Get off my milk and eat my horse." How stupid can you get? But nobody argued with John Rain. They told me the Smalls were taking over Movie City. Eric Von Strongbow was the mastermind. The one chance to stop him was the Maltese Parrot. The bird held a secret to... Hell's bells! The secret to what? Now I might never find out. Hell's bells. Now I was jammed in a jumbo jam jar. I'd been pickled in my time. Now I was about to be bottled. When I finally made it out of the underground jam factory, I found myself in the corner of Sunrise and Grape. Hey, one of the all-time biggies. Remember the end when the hero says, "Franklin, my dear, I don't care if you are a man." They just don't write stuff that good today. It was late. I needed a drink. Some little squirt was giving me lip. I figured that covered it. Night had fallen and I was still looking for that drink. But things had changed at the Brown Trilby. To get into the bar, you had to get under the bar. Tall Tim, too, had problems. The ape gave him the blackjack, right behind the ear. Tall Tim, too, was laid out. Now he was carried out. I'd made it under the bar. What the goons didn't realize, under the coat, I was walking on my knees. The place was jumping. It was a wild scene. Edward G. Hobson and George Lifeboat were throwing a party. Through a plate glass window, some crazy cat was doing his thing in the corner. I got the message. Tomorrow they'd all be eating strawberry jam. The jerk was smoking the hard way. Maybe now you'd kick the habit. Strawberry vodka. Why not? I told the barman to hit me. Another dumb move. When I came around, I thought I was back in the big pair. But it was me. She'd found me in some alley. Then I saw she'd been crying buckets. She tried to break into the movies, done the round of all the agents, but they'd given her the bird. She told me she was leaving. She left it at that. Well, when one door shuts, another door closes. Then I saw it. May had said she'd been given a bird. Could it be Jumpin' Jehoshaphat, the elusive Maltese Parrot?
What's up, Dick?
I questioned the feathered freak for over an hour. But this bird was no stool pigeon. I needed to talk to May. It was time to make some fast moves. I caught up with May at the airport. She was flying back down to the big pair. She'd changed her dress, also her mind. Now she wanted to stay. But I told her the plain truth. She had to get on that plane. She had to forget me. Because when you get right down to it, what was really important was her in the future. Anything else didn't amount to a hill of beans. She had to forget me. Forget she ever knew me. I reminded her to remember that. Nothing else amounted to anything when you got right down to it. Forget me. Forget the past. Forget the hill of beans. This could be the start of yet another dumb move.
Big boy.
It was the start of another day in Movie City. What I needed was transportation. Harry Hertz. It sounded like the right place. I could see Harry through the window. I decided to step inside. I asked Harry about the hollering coming in through the wall. He said it used to be a speakeasy. Now you had to yell hard to make yourself heard. It was a squash club, all right. There had to be an easier way to lose height. Movie City had gone crazy. The smalls were in. The talls were out on the seat of their pants. Had me some wheels now, but it was tough going. It was around that time I decided to drop in at Jim's Gym. Another dumb move. Wild man Carew was planning a comeback. He was doing a little shadow boxing. When will that dumb Dimbo ever learn? I figured I'd skip the skipping. The old parallel bars. Why not? Gary Barrelmaker and Johnny Weisfeller. What the hell were they doing behind bars? Then I was in trouble. Big trouble. I'd been hoisted by my own leotard. Help! Yeah, it was the bridge on the River Cry. I'd been hanging around quite some time, like a day and a half. Edward G. Hobson and George Lifeboat were throwing questions at me. Name the 7 smalls. I yelled up, Lumpy, Dumpy, and Humpy. 5 out of 7 wasn't bad going. But they wouldn't buy it. Edward G. started tearing his hair out. George Lifeboat flipped. That's when they gave me the chop. It was another heavy case of the drops. I always seemed to lose out on the hand in the pocket deal. But I figured I'd give it one last throw. Jumpin' Jehoshaphat, my old Zippo miniature parachute. Now, let's see now. Count to 10 and pull a Zippo-Rippo cord. No sweat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I was getting there. 7, 8. Hey, my lucky number. Yet another dumb move. Why is it yours personally is always the fall guy? Lucky break. The river was dry. I could have drowned here. Then I saw him, Sam Silverwind, one of the all-time great Ivywood producers. I could see he'd fallen on hard times. He told me he'd passed a lot of water under the bridge. What could I say? I felt kind of sorry for the old guy, but it was time to move. Sam and I made our way to the famous Japanese Gromon Theater, place where the stars left their mark in concrete. They were all here. Snozzle Ferranti had left his nose print. Clara Blow, the original It Girl.
Hey.
And the Invisible Man. It was all too much for Sam. He was coming apart at the seams. I left him to it. Stage right. It was late, but I needed a drink and a lot of answers. Brum, 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 brum. So I drove down to this strip joint. What else on Sunrise Strip? I parked my hired wheels and I headed on in.
Ladies and gentlemen, blah, 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 Big Bertha, blah, 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 stick tea.
Hell's bells. Big Bertha was none other than Mae East. I thought she'd left town. I found out later her plane never took off. Ran into a hill of beans.
Dirty little.
I'd seen enough. I made for the bar. The barman looked kind of familiar. I told him to give me a shot. How dumb can another dumb move be? Mae had a degree in welding. It came in handy. She'd taken me back to the apartment, removed the slug, and patched me up. Felt pretty good.
Burn 874226.
I told the feathered freak to button its beak. Mae looked ready to work on my nuts. But I needed to get back out on the streets. I told her the way things were going down, not to wait up.
Burn 874226.
Shut it, bird brain.
Pretty funny.
Then I saw him. It was that sneaky Lieutenant O'Grady. So, I slipped into this alley. Well, you can't win them all. O'Grady had me cold. They'd taken me down to the Ivywood station house. I'd been in 100 grill rooms in 100 cities. This one was different. O'Grady looked ready to fry me. He said he'd give me 12 hours to wrap up the case. But first he wanted to see the Maltese Parrot. Jumpin' Jehoshaphat! The bird had flown. I asked May if he'd left a forwarding address. She said no, but there was a message. It was written with a quill, and what a stupid way to spell burn. I needed help to nail Eric von Strongbow. So I'd called a meeting of the Talls. I told them to hold their heads high. Don't let the Smalls walk all over them. I wasn't about to fall for that old hole-in-the-floor scam twice. Then I took out my personal bowling ball. Just as I figured. False pins. A Small in Tall's clothing. I asked her for the whereabouts of Eric von Strongbow. She told me the MGM studio. Metal, Greenberg, Marrow, Gold Lucian Mare. Me and the Talls would hit the place at dawn.
I can't see anything. Ow!
It was exactly 8 a.m. Yours personally and a group of Talls were about to hit the studios. Eric von Strongbow had just started shooting on the big stage. I told Tunny Suff to creep inside and scud around.
Okay, Chief.
He was the biggest creep we had among us. I couldn't believe it. They were making Ben-Hur meets Flash Gordon on the Forbidden Planet.
I still can't see anything.
Hey, you, see?
Help!
Tunny Suffs was in trouble. I told the Talls, let's go get him. Hell's bells! The man needed help. His kneecaps were taking a beating. I told Hair Oil Flynn to get over there.
Okay, yeah.
That's when I caught a rock. Smack on top of the head. Ben Him took off on his motorized chariot. It was Edward G. Hobson.
See?
He said he was the Emperor Ming, see?
See?
From the planet Mongo, see?
See?
I let him have the old 1-3. It was George Lifeboat. He was playing Flash Gordon.
Look at this.
But what the hell did he have under that cloak? The set was coming down around our ears. It was time to move.
Telegram for Mr. Spatter.
Bizarre.
Who said that? Von Strongbow was making his escape. I went for my 45.
Come here, you little...
Jumpin' Jehoshaphat. It was a whatchamacallit.
Telegram for Mr. Spatter.
That's when it hit me. I saw the whole scam. Casting Smalls in every part, Eric von Strongbow could use miniature sets. That way he was able to make movies cheaper than anyone. He was making a pile and laundering the money. But where was he stashing all the loot?
Getting ready for lunchtime now. It's
Telegram for Mr.
Hey, Pops.
Gary Barrelmaker lassoed a green.
Yep.
Mr. Spatter, a telegram for you.
There it is again.
Kilogram for...
The winged freak is a pterodactyl, an extinct giant bird with a silent P. Who the hell's that?
Kilogram for Mr. Spanner.
That's me. Bern is the capital of Switzerland. How dumb can a cable be?
Spanner, that's what I gets for ya.
It was a ray gun, but they hadn't been invented yet. Who keeps saying that? It was around that time the roof went up. Me and Von Strongbow hung around for a little while, but not for long. The roof was still going up, but I was about to go down. Then I was grabbed by the talons. The bird was flying me to Switzerland. Bern 874226 panned out to be a numbered account in a Swiss bank. It had to be worth millions, but that's another story. Who is it keeps saying that?